Hello and welcome to the 73rd episode of Get Out of Rap TV, your show all about contact centers and CX here on LinkedIn every Tuesday at 10 a.m. It's great to be back and to see you. Sorry about last week. I do, of course, want to start by thanking my partners right above me. Here you go. DDC Outsourcing Solutions, Evaluagent, and OneCom. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do anything. And we do a lot of great content together. I really enjoy working with them. So, guys, thank you very, very much. Let's crack on with the show, shall we? Let's start with getting to know each other a little bit. Say hello in the comments. And what was your favorite subject at school? So, what was your favorite subject at school? I haven't seen anyone join yet. I'm hoping we're not having some issues with LinkedIn. It's always my fear because it's happened once before where I couldn't actually see myself. Let me just check whether this is actually going live or not. Um, can I see? Is there anyone out there? Oh, yeah, I think it is. Let's see. I might be able to see myself. Ah, there we go. It is working. So, good morning. Darren Gracie is here. Good morning, sir. As is the main man, Danny Wareham. Good morning, Danny. I hope you don't mind. I volunteered you for something yesterday. Hopefully, someone's been in touch. Scott is here. Good morning, and he's kicking us off. Scott Williams, awesome fella. Good morning. My favorite subject was geography and geology. Wow, geography. I did an A level at geography. Weirdly, though, I'd say my favourites were history and PE, but then I chose to do geography. But any geographical and geological questions, we know who to go to, and that is Scott. Aman is here. Aman Dip Kuna. Good morning. Great to see you. As is Rob Wilkinson of Evaluation. Good morning. So that's a relief. I wondered if I was going to be talking to myself for 45 minutes, but it is great to see you all here. So Scott has kicked us off. I've given you mine. For everyone else watching, what were your favorite subjects? Darren Gracie says, favorite subject at school was English. Was that English lit or English language, Darren? Rob, his favorite was design graphics, and I've seen you put that into practice still to this day. Although you're a young whippersnapper, Rob, aren't you? It wasn't that long ago you were in school. Mark Ibbotson, hi Mark, how you doing? Morning all. Also, strangely, geography. Well, we've got a few favorites for geography here. Danny says, I loved all subjects except PE. I was a chess playing computer club captain, acne ridden tubby choir boy. Super popular with the girls. Well, come on, I think that is lovingly called a neek these days, isn't it? But of course, you were a bit of a basketball star, Danny. So did that come later on in life? And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. Well, of course, the acne is something I think a lot of us all went through. And believe it or not, I was a altar boy for a while. Um, volunteered, intrigued, has not heard anything yet. Yes, okay, Danny, I will pick up with you afterwards. Aman says, I enjoyed IT. And Rob Wilkinson confirms he is still in short pants. We know this to be true, Rob. The elixir of youth. It's like the Cocoon film Rob has fallen into one of the swimming pools with alien pods in it. um, what else have we got? Marianne Withers is here. And Darren says English literature. Same. That I also did that at A level. Marianne Withers. Lovely Marianne. Morning, everyone. I hope you're all fab. My favourites were sport and maths. When I'm with you on the sport, maths, I could never get my head round. In fact, one of the schools I went to, maths was the lesson on one day before lunch, and the teacher used to go around the class firing maths questions at you, and if you answered correctly, you could go out to lunch. And I was always stuck in the class. I panicked and would just say like 1974, Colchester, and just used to get stuck. So Danny says, started playing between GCSEs and A levels. This is basketball. First time I felt like I fitted in, and a major part of why I do what I do about culture and fitting in. Very true. The lot of correlation, isn't there, between culture at work and sports teams and being inclusive. And yeah, so I love it, Danny. Rob confirms Cocoon, amazing film. Sequels, not so much. No, I would agree with that. Although I've not seen any of them. So please do keep these coming. Your favourite subjects at school are just a way of us getting to know each other. So I know, for example, now some of you love geography too. English literature. I had a teacher who just inspired my love of reading, and that was also A level, Darren. And he was a guy called Hugh Stewart, and he, believe it or not, he directed some of Norman Wisdom's films. A lot of you won't even. I don't remember the Norman Wisdom films, by the way. I'm not that old, but yeah, just a passionate teacher. And maybe this question would have been better phrased: who were the teachers that inspired your love of a subject? Because they certainly play a big part, don't they, in making up who we are now. Right, moving on. Are you all registered? I'm going to be doing something brand new tomorrow. Sorry for the double look of my face, and that is the break room. So it's the first time I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn audio event. It's tomorrow, 12 till 1. And it's just a chance for all of us. Hopefully, it won't be me talking all the time. The whole point of this is these audio events are meant to be conversations, and never done it before. So expect a few glitches and things. Um, I will be talking, or the subject I think we should start with is if we follow this through from people joining our industry. So let's talk about, do we have a recruitment problem? Do we have an attracting talent problem? What does onboarding look like? What are people doing with attracting talent, and what should that look like? And I've done a bit of prep. I do hope you can join me. Basically, just come on to LinkedIn 12 till 1. It's in the events section on my profile, and you get the opportunity. You can either just listen in, or you can raise your hand and I will invite you in, and we can have a conversation. So if you have already said you're coming, thank you very much. I will chat to you tomorrow. If you haven't yet seen it, please do, like I say, have a look at my profile. The break room, I think it will be a lot of fun, and it's something brand new. Let me just pick this up from Danny. You were showing your age now. Yes, very true. Norman Wisdom, for the youngsters, he was basically Lee Evans' dad. Yeah, very, very true. Well, I am 50, Danny. So I'm starting to feel my age these days. Oh, and did you like the new VT at the start? A brand new intro, and there's also a brand new outro as well. So I know you love your VTs. Sorry if you're listening to this on the podcast, you'll just have to use your imagination. Now then, talking of what we can be doing in our industry, maybe a little bit better, or maybe you think we've got it cracked. But the question of the day, when you think about training in contact centers, what should we be focusing on? Um, and I'm leaving that open ended. You can apply that to our operations teams, our support teams, whether that's quality or WFM. It might be MI. What do you think? When you think about training in contact centers, what should we be focusing on? Maybe we can expand that. Do you think we do enough? Has the level of training gone up or gone down in your experience? I guess is another interesting question to think about. But when you think about training in contact centers, what should we be focusing on? What do you think? And whilst you get your typing fingers going, I'm just going to have a bit of coffee. thanks to Dan Cohen at Nespresso. I paid for it, but Dan Cohen got me onto the Nespresso machine. So when you think about training in contact centers, what should we be focusing on? Just while you are getting your comments in, the reason for posting this question is I was talking to a contact center recently, and again, it's always surprised me that we don't spend that much time talking to people about having great conversations, about the power of listening, those kind of the technical skills around how to communicate to customers. And of course, those types of skills, if you spend some time training people on them, can have benefits in people's wider lives, right? How to be a better conversationalist helps you build better relationships. So for me, that was one. But we do have Danny Wareham is kicking us off here with, in my opinion, and I spoke about this at an event recently, we shouldn't be focusing on training. We should be focusing on education. In parentheses, I'll explain in a mo. Here we go. And that mo is happening right now. Training equals stuff I need to do my job, i.e., systems, processes. It's Lewis Hamilton making the car go round the track. Okay, so Danny's, we've got training. That's love it. I love that way of describing it. And Rob Wilkinson is saying, I've seen a huge range of differences across many contact centers, good, bad, and ugly. The best efforts are those that link the training with customer outcomes wherever the training lies. Very, very true. How do we get the right outcomes? Um, Marianne Withers says, I agree with Danny Wareham. This is something I've been on for a long time. And Marianne, do you take that? Marianne, I know you do a lot of work with sharing your expertise in further education as well, namely Portsmouth University. Is this something that you talk to people outside of the industry about as well? Now, Danny is now on education. Education equals stuff that is not about my job, but applies to the wider org strategy, i.e., Lewis Hamilton learning about the pits, drift driving in the snow, etc. And very, very topical as well, following his victory at Silverstone. So I love this. So training is stuff I need to do for my job. Education is stuff that is not about my job, but applies to the wider organization. And I guess, Danny, that means you have a greater understanding and feel like what you do is adding value when people are educating you around how you can influence something over and above what you have to do. I hope I haven't mangled that. And then you go on to explain, Danny. Thank you. Then, when unexpected things happen, Lewis can apply these seemingly unrelated learnings. Training only works when everything is working as planned. And I guess to Rob's point, I love that, Danny, by the way, but I guess to Rob's point, what we're talking about here is that there is a really holistic strategy around how we are looking at training. I've worked in a lot of centers where training was often reactive. Now, some of that had its place because we might need to rectify something that we weren't aware of, whether that's en masse or with specific teams or individuals. But it seemed that training was often done in response to something, and would be one of the first things that was thrown out of the hot air balloon when we became too busy. So scheduled training was often cancelled. And we just sort of got on with it. We muddled on through. Thank you. So, Danny, for those of you listening, there is a link there for a longer explanation in one of his posts. Hop on to LinkedIn. If you're not following Danny already, you definitely need to be. Marianne, sorry, did not mean to hit return. I've always gone on around education and not training. You train animals, you educate people. Yes, I do quite a bit with the university and looking to do more. Good on you. This is a way that we break down some of the myths that exist still around our industry. So Marianne Withers, Mythbuster, there, going out and doing doing her bit for our industry. For anyone else that's watching as well, what do you think when you think about training in contact centers? What should we be focusing on? And I think you've got some lovely examples there around on a high level, trying to make the distinction between um, training versus education. Does that, and can you drill down a bit further into what does that actually mean for some of our agents and team leaders? What kind of things should we be looking to do with them, building up where they sit strategically? 100%. Well, your ears burning. Daniel Cohen is with us. Hey, up. I mentioned you earlier. Now, Dan is a very interesting chap. Was award-winning leader of the Nespresso Contact Center, and made the very brave leap of going to run all things distribution for them. There's definitely a podcast waiting to happen there, Dan, isn't it? How are things going, by the way? My delivery was very, very efficient from order on the app to delivery. I think was a couple of days. So obviously you're doing well. Now, Aman says, totally agree. Aman Dipkuna, this is, says, totally agree with Danny. Currently, training has gaps in handling the unexpected. So true. What do you do when something unexpected happens? Do you panic? Panic? Or do you fall back on, okay, we've trained for this. We know what we need to do. Let's go to our playbook. Deepak is here. Hello, Deepak. The greatest challenge for training is to be meaningful is that rarely is it tied to competency in the skills matrix. That's so true. It's a bit ad hoc, a bit hit and miss, rather than these are the competencies and skills that are going to see you have a great career here. Here's how we're going to train you after doing a training needs analysis to be super brilliant at all of them. So lovely point there, my friend. And I think we need to catch up as well. I seem to remember you sending me a message. It's been a bit chaotic recently. So apologies for that. Morris Pentel, Sentient Machines, is here. Now, Morris, I totally agree with this comment. Deeper soft skills across the organization. I know that phrase, some people go, well, it's a bit kind of reductive, but I think we all completely understand. And I'm one for, we understand what that means, emotional intelligence, and applying it across the whole organization, I think is a really key point. Danny says, what do you do when something unexpected happens? And do you have the implied permission to actually try something different? If not, we can hide behind the processes, etc. Computer says no. Yes. Are we giving people agency? Aman says, we've seen a change in our training program that ties in with our QA criteria. We train out what we expect people to achieve, deliver to our customers. I love that. Aman, and every week you seem to share an example of something you guys are doing that is right on the money. So it seems like you're in a great contact center there. Marianne, give people clearer understanding of what they are doing. In regard to training sales, I used to do marketing modules, psychology of sales, and structured sales modules, included in all the training to give them the reason, the how, and the why. I love that. Very comprehensive. Now, Daniel Cohen, Dan Cohen, living the dream, my friend, and all the better for seeing your face for the first time in a while. We'll get this podcast sorted, and you've already got a suggestion for the title. How Dozing Northerner ended up in supply chain. Well, we have to commit to that now. That's done. That is a deal. Talking of podcasts, there is one out right now that we did yesterday, I believe, with the great Jordan Powell, corporate sales team leader at Gravity. Hi, Jordan. Hey, MT. Feels like forever since I joined the Gal Live. Feels good to be back. It's good to have you back. For those of you watching and listening, if you haven't had a chance to check out Jordan's podcast, please do. We are doing a series of podcasts direct from the team leader community, where people are going to talk about, and this one, Jordan talked about the transition from agent to team leader. It's out now. I definitely recommend checking it out because Jordan knows his stuff. It's very real talk because he's doing the job right now. Um, Danny Wareham says, you know, I have 9 mantras. Sound like pets. Number 7 is if a person breaks a rule, you have a person problem. If lots of people break a rule, you have a rule problem. Love that. Education gives us the context to be able to try other off script things to remedy an issue that can be exasperated by sticking to what the training said to do. Um, yeah, I totally agree. It's one of the things that I think I love about our industry is how creative we are, especially when we're under pressure or things have gone wrong. And if you think about the um, pandemic, for example, you know, the I worked with companies before that, a contact center before that, where we were on a project about getting some people to do home working, and we had so many hurdles. It was practically impossible. It took we worked on it over a year alongside our usual day job, of course, like all of us know. You know what I mean. And we hadn't even got one person home. Along comes a pandemic, a big crisis. We're problem solvers. All of a sudden, everyone's at home and working within a week, as per normal. So, we broke rules, all of us collectively, to be able to do that. And now, what that meant was that we should be able to go back and review those rules and go, well, okay, nothing major happened. Were they too stringent? So I completely agree with this, Danny. I love it. Jordan, you're dead right. Agent to TL without the filter, the way it should be. Yes, this is an unfiltered podcast. I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend checking out, but I would do. I'm hardly objective. So thank you for all of these. Please do keep them coming. I think you've made some great points. And actually, Dan, thinking about it, from what you've seen leaving the contact center to going into national distribution for a brand, has that given you any new thoughts on training and the kind of cross function skills that you might see, and how much of that is as a result of training? Um, Rob Wilkinson, if focusing on frontline education is a big gap I've seen is where people are enabled to know what to do for customers, but then they're not empowered to take ownership to resolve. So true. And I think this is also tied into something we're going to talk about in the read along as well, systems and integration, that there's barriers to ownership, isn't there? And that is either around the empowerment piece, but also from a practical point of view, the integration of systems, and when you people have to call back. Oh, Marco Jetme Indraj. Hello, Mr. Gao. Hello, Marco, award winning Marco, and all of the guys at SSCL. Great to see you. Hello, Mr. Gao. Now, Marco comes in with a great comment. Training should be purpose driven and customized to individual learning styles. Great. First mention of that. That's brilliant. To ensure it is effective and memorable. Aligning training with clear objectives and adapting to visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or reading writing preferences enhances engagement and retention, leading to better application and successful outcomes. What a great comment, Marco. Coming in and knocking one out of the park there. That's great. And I hope you and the guys are all well. Thoroughly well deserved award. Hope to see you soon, my friend. Are you enjoying the Euros? I bet you are. Maybe not so everyone else there down in Wales, but I know you are. So please do keep these comments coming in. When it comes to training in contact centers, what should we be focusing on? Please do keep them coming in. I will call them out, but it's time for one of our favorite VTs, and that is it's time. It's the read along. We are going through Contact Babel's UK Contact Center Decision Makers Guide, and we are up to about a page 156. I feel like I've been saying that page for forever. Let me just catch up here. Morris, training sessions should be short and build a habit of improvement. I agree with you. Kind of short and not repetitive, but short and frequent. Completely agree. Eddie is here. Eddie Barber. Um, we used to work together a long time ago. Great guy. Best agents should be the ones to train. Agents who have customers' positive feedback should also participate in training. Yeah, involving agents in the delivery of training. I'm a huge advocate of that. They know best, and there's something in that, isn't there? Well done, Eddie. Good to see you. Okay, so we are now on post call work. And this is around, as I mentioned, hi Eddie. And this is around the applications. So, as you know, Contact Babel went out to the largest number of decision makers who are running contact centers in our industry. Maybe some of you completed this that are watching and contributing now. And they were asked whether they agreed or disagreed with this statement. All of our applications are fully integrated and optimized for the user journey by contact center size. And the size split is small, medium, large, and then you have the average. Now you can see we have a problem here because overall 73% disagreed that this was the case, and that is either strongly disagreed or disagreed. They disagreed with the statement, all of our applications are fully integrated and optimized for the user journey. Small and mid-sized contact centers were the most likely to state this, and there's a general need for deeper integration of applications. So this won't be any surprise, I don't think, to anyone working in a contact center around the integration of applications. Are they fully integrated and optimized for the user journey? It's more like a patchwork quilt, isn't it, of applications being bought and bolted on to legacy applications. Are we ever going to see this picture look better? Because we're looking at a bar chart here of red with disagree and strongly disagree. In fact, it's only in the large contact centers that you have 8% strongly agreed that they're loving life, their systems are fully integrated. Another 8% just agreed. And then you had 19% who were neutral. Meh, they have no real opinion on this. They're probably just worn out by it all. Just on the training point, Marianne says situational management, understanding the makeup of each individual so you know how to work with them and how to educate, develop, and nurture your people. Danny, you've hit the nail on the head with IT Spaghetti Junction. That's what we're looking at here. Eddie says technology moves faster than in-house technology, and I guess that we've spoken about this before, Eddie. To your point, haven't we? That as technology moves so fast and people kind of want it because they think it's going to make a big difference, and hopefully it will. But it's the integration with the in-house systems in place, or maybe it doesn't quite do everything you need it to do, or there's been a lot of bastardization and bespoke work that's done specific to your center, means that it's actually pretty tricky for new technology to integrate. Some of the providers out there, including people like OneCom, are going to work hard around making sure that integration is as seamless as possible. Eddie says, always bolt on causes issues in the integration. Very, very true. I don't think there's an easy solution to that, is there? Now, we're still in the sphere of our frontline team members, right? And this is, are our applications integrated and optimized for the user? Now, still going on with that, let's have a look at in-call access to knowledge sources for agents. So agent desktop knowledge management is a big business out there at the moment, isn't it? Danny says, if this is decision makers recognizing their systems aren't integrated, I'd be interested to get a frontline opinion. I suspect that might be even more negative. Very true. And Rob Wilkinson says, unfortunately, many larger CCaaS players are preventing effective integration with smaller specialist suppliers with better tech. Great point. Great point, that, Rob. By holding data to ransom for large money. So let me just read that again. Many larger CCaaS players are preventing effective integration with smaller specialist suppliers with better tech. Wow, great point. And Danny agrees with me. Rob Wilkinson, this is a great point and not often spoken about. Marianne Withers says, would love to think it could get better, as the tech is out there to do it. However, not sure it will. It is quite a mess out there at present with a lot of companies, and it is the frontline colleagues that have to take the brunt of this. So true. And Rob, we are loving your point there. So we're now going to look at how agents gather information from knowledge sources within a call and how an integrated desktop could possibly assist with that. So the table we are now looking at shows the knowledge resources that agents have within a call. Finding, reading, assimilating, and using information actually within a call is very difficult and is rarely done seamlessly. Excuse me. Applications such as case-based reasoning and AI-enabled virtual assistants are very useful, but only 25% of agents have access to case-based reasoning and 18% have access to an AI-enabled virtual assistant. That is a figure, however, which has grown substantially in recent years. Many agents have to search around on a company website or FAQ page or rely on a wide, unsupported search of knowledge bases or the wider internet, hoping to be fortunate. What a damning statement. Let's have a look. So we're looking at another bar chart that has asked the decision makers the extent to which they have in-call access to knowledge and what are those sources. Now, 96%, by far the highest, use a company website. Equally, 96% internet access. 82% manuals, whether paper or online. FAQs, 68%. 42% free text search of knowledge bases. 23% case-based reasoning or similar, and 18% desktop AI virtual assistant. Now, if you only spent your time on LinkedIn, you'd think everyone had AI already, and an agent's life was so dissimilar to what it might have been when I was an agent, for example. But what we're seeing here is, whilst there has been a growth in AI and virtual assistants for agents, we are still in a very much an environment that looks the same as it did 20 years ago. And I know there's nothing more galling or frustrating for agents than customers having access to exactly the same level of information as they do. And you can sometimes be embarrassed if a website's been updated and you didn't know about it. You're referring to your intranet, let's say, and the customer's got more up-to-date information than you because they've been online. Because this shows a great opportunity. Aman, great point. Amandip says, surprised that ask a friend isn't on there, or ask your team leader. Yes, so true. Now, just going back to Rob's point, Marianne agrees with Rob. So very true. This is the ransom, I guess. And as Danny says, we saw this ransom approach in the PC wars of the 90s. Microsoft and Apple were always in and out of court over copyright and proprietary software. Awful for suppliers trying to create software that links into those operating systems back then. So true. And Rob's point, if you remember, on integration was there's some smaller providers out there that have better tech, but they are in effect being held to ransom. But Mark, going back to the knowledge sources for agents, as Danny says, we put our people at the heart of everything we do. Also, our people have to get their information from the same place and at the same time as customers. Spot on. That is spot on. Don't know what's going on with my typing formatting today. Oh, it still makes perfect sense, Danny. Maybe that's my eyes. Terms and conditions is always a headache, says Eddie. Rob says, that's such a shame. I'm surprised. Another case of the tools are available, but we're not giving access to them to those that need it. So true, Robin. What this graph says to, I think, all of us is opportunity. Opportunity. We're working right now at a time when customer satisfaction scores, we're being told, are the lowest they've ever been. Well, let's equip our agents better. And this is a key area. We're not giving them access to in-call knowledge when we could be. So we're making the job harder for them. Morris Pentel, this shows how organizations do not track the cost of effort and uncertainty. In my research, the gaps between core systems and the things that agents do to cover them are the biggest cost in any interaction. Wow, that's lovely. It's not lovely, but I love how you've written it. Efficiency reduces cost and improves experience. And these are those workarounds, aren't they, that agents just get to do. If we can analyze them, those gaps, what are the gaps between what we're giving people and thinking they're using and the reality? The reality is often far different. Marianne says, companies say they put their people at the heart of everything they do. However, what they actually do is very different at times. Yes, so true. I know that doesn't apply to you at the Verity Center. You are all over it. So now we've got time for one more. Danny says, you should never have a heart transplant for purely financial reasons. I do love this show in the comments. Okay. So now we are looking at the use of desktop automation. Current reported levels of desktop automation usage, including RPA and desktop integration solutions, are growing, with 35% of respondents stating they are using it. Looking at the use of desktop automation by contact center size, it is unsurprising to see that large 200 plus seat contact centers are much more likely to be using it, although many smaller operations are also enthusiastic about implementing this. So what we are looking at is use of desktop automation software by contact center size. Let's look at the averages first. 32% use it now and they've no plans to replace or upgrade it. 3% say they use it and they want to upgrade it. 10% said we're going to implement this within 12 months. A further 13% said they're going to implement it after 12 months, but by far the largest, 42% say we don't have desktop automation and we have no plans to implement it. Just going back to workarounds, Morris says the workarounds are something I look at when analyzing EX and CX, and you do a great job at it, Morris. We should catch up soon, my friend. Rob, if anyone wants to connect their QA voice of customer with education materials for agents in one place to track, support, and improve, I know a bloke, and it's one of my partners. Rob is, of course, an Evalue agent. I've had a great time with Rob and Chris Mounts having a look round their offerings, and I have to say they're very, very good. I would say that anyway. I was saying that before they were a partner, but yes, you do know a bloke, Rob, don't you? But let's get back to this kind of desktop automation. You can see that actually in the small contact center, so I think that's under 50 seats, 45% said they have no plans to implement. Interestingly, medium contact centers, 57% of the responders, the decision makers in these contact centers, said they have absolutely no plans to implement desktop automation. I wonder why that is. Other priorities, don't really see the value. Maybe their frontline teams are not making a noise around. They're just getting on with it, which is how we do things in operations, isn't it? We just get on with it. These are our systems. They're not very good. Doesn't really matter. But it's interesting. It is interesting that we have identified in this little part of the read along that there's far more that we can do for our agents on the front line. There are a couple of other slides, but I do not think we have time, so we will save them for next week. And I'm hoping that if you want to spend your lunch break tomorrow here are you going to come along? There's quite a few people saying they're coming along already. Like I say, you can sit in the background. As Eddie says here, yeah, to my previous point, agents are left to figure it out. Let's not do that. I know, Eddie, you are in agreement with me here. We need to. Rob says no plans seem driven by contact centers that are not large, potentially viewed as expensive. Yeah, very true. Morris says the larger the organization, the more complex the requirements are for automation. Very, very valid point. There could be a real desire to do it, but the practicalities are difficult. So, you guys, it would be great if you can just drop in tomorrow. I'm never going to get this right. Um, Drop into the break room. It's going to be the very first audio event for our industry. I think I've not heard of any others. We're going to be talking about that first step, first people into the contact center world. But like, as is the way out, like this, we're going to go off on tangents. But unlike this, I hope that there will be lots of you talking and not just me. The whole point of a LinkedIn audio is it's going to be a conversation. So go to my profile. You should see it in events, and you'll be able to sign up. Thank you, Jordan. I will certainly do my best. Looking forward to it, mate. Me too. It's exciting because something different, and that keeps me going. But I do hope you can join. Thank you so much for joining today. Great comments from you all as well. I always learn something from you. I do hope you can join me here again for the 74th show next week. And for those of you that love a VT, here is the new VT. So take care, everybody. Have a great week.